Well, hey guys, Backwaters and Backroads here, obviously. So, I got a little treat for you today. I came over to Titusville from Crystal River to visit my friend, JB. But you'll see him in the comment section a lot as J-Brat. And he's watched my channel for a few years, and we become friends. He visited me in the UP once and took him fishing, and I'll probably visit him in upstate New York, which is where he's originally from. And I wanted to take a couple minutes and just share with you guys that this last fall he took off on his sailboat here, which we'll show you in a minute, and he came down the eastern seaboard. He went through the Erie Canal and the Hudson and all that. That's a trip that I really want to do to complete the Great Loop, and so we'll have some questions for him and he can tell us about his experience doing it. Okay, tell us about it.
Well, I retired this past autumn, and I've had this boat for 15 years with my family growing up, and it's kind of time to move on. And I always wanted to sail to Florida, and I figured it's either now or never. And
you just recently retired?
Yeah, in this past autumn. And my wife and I, she took a week off. She's still at work, and we meandered east down the Erie Canal, and she jumped off at that point to go to work, and that from there I single-handed it down the Hudson, had the mast taken down in Catskill, New York, continued south down the Hudson through New York City, anchored behind the Statue of Liberty, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Continued down to Jersey, anchored behind Sandy Hook. When a weather window presented itself, I went down the coast of Jersey, and it was a day trip to Atlantic City. At that point, the remnants of Hurricane Ian were coming up the coast, and so I got weathered in Atlantic City for about 5 days, which was kind of unpleasant. When that finally passed through, I went back out down the coast of Jersey to Cape May, spent the night in Cape May. The next, I made my way up the Delaware Bay to the C&D Canal, crossed over the C&D Canal to the Chesapeake, meandered down the Chesapeake, met a lot of cool people, a lot of cruisers along the way.
Did you go through the Dismal Swamp?
I did not, because why did I choose to not do that? I think the duckweed, I was seeing reports that the duckweed and Dismal Swamp were real heavy, and I wanted to avoid that. I was single-handing it, and in order to keep an eye on the strainer, the motor strainer, and would have been a bit taxing, so I took the alternative route down. I forget what pass they referred to, the Virginia Cut, I think they call it.
Can you quickly, just to make sure I remember, can you tell us what your boat is, like what's length it? Maybe we can go down here, get out of this guy's way. And
it's a Catalina 30.
It's a 30-footer Catalina.
It's a 1998.
Okay.
It's basically just a little weekend type of boat. It's a very common production boat.
But it spent most of its life up in the Northland and the freshwater and the Great Lakes and such.
Yeah, I bought it in Sandusky, Ohio back in 2007 and sailed it back to western New York.
And you have it for sale, and there's a good chance you probably have it sold?
Knock on wood. I think there's a chance I might have a buyer, but until then, I got a boat in Florida, which is kind of a nice problem to have.
Yeah, first world problems, as we keep saying.
Yeah.
Can we step inside, and then maybe you can continue to tell us about your trip down the eastern seaboard?
Sure.
So I think we left off at you were crossing Cape May.
Yeah, well, I went into Cape May off the ocean, which is a common route. From there, I went up the Delaware Bay, crossed over the Erie Canal to the Chesapeake. There's a lot of good anchorages in the Chesapeake, obviously. I ducked into Annapolis and went to the boat show there just because. And from there, meandered south on the Chesapeake to Norfolk, which is where the ICW begins, and basically just took the ICW all the way south to here in Titusville, Florida.
How long was your trip in total?
I took approximately 2 months to do it. It could have been done quicker. Could also,
You left in September, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Okay, so now that you've done the trip, would you, I guess maybe I'll start with, would you have any advice for folks that are considering, doing the Great Loop or part of it, or, any surprises or things you weren't expecting, or?
One thing that I learned was the importance of good quality ground tackle, and you need 2 sets of good quality ground tackle.
So you're talking anchors to folks that don't know.
Yeah, you can't skimp on. I had one very good anchor with 50 feet of chain, and then another older plow anchor that a buddy gave me, and they were adequate. I dragged anchor on a couple occasions, which is not uncommon, but with the tides and the currents, Georgia and North Florida are pretty substantial, at least to me. I'm not used to tides and currents up in the Great Lakes, but you can't be afraid to spend some money on a good quality anchor.
Okay.
That was
What style of anchors did you use? Plows or Bruce or?
I had a plow and I think it's a Delta with the flake.
Oh yeah, the Deltas. Yep.
And it was a real heavy anchor designed for a 40-foot boat, so it was kind of overkill. And that's the anchor I had the best luck with. Mm-hmm. But I would go either Rockna or Mantis if I were to continue.
Now, what percentage would you say you motored as opposed to sail on the trip?
Realistically, 5% sailing.
That's pretty common, isn't it? Like, when you're in protected water and...
Yeah, the Chesapeake, I would say, is the down the coast of Jersey and the Chesapeake were the best opportunities to sail, but I was single-handing it, and ideally it would be preferable to have some other crew on board that knows what they're doing, because you get into kind of survival mode coming down by yourself, and you throw sail up very conservatively and motor sail while you're doing it, and it's not giving you much of a benefit realistically, other than making you feel better that you have a sail up.
And your Catalina has a diesel, and you probably just sips fuel and...
Yeah, that's another thing I learned, is that 2,000 RPMs and just putter down slowly. Nobody's, right at the beginning of the trip, I found myself like passing people, and that you learn pretty quick that it's kind of diesel worship all the way down. Tend to the diesel, make sure it's maintained properly, and etc.
I'm especially interested in the Erie Canal. That seems to be like my latest, top of my bucket list, trip. Part of the trip I want to do. Can you share with us any memorable experiences about the Erie Canal? I think I asked you last night about it, and you said it was a really nice part of it.
Yeah, it was very. It exceeded my expectations. I grew up in Western New York and most of my life, and in close proximity to the Erie Canal. But I have a sailboat, so generally only power boats are on the canal because of low bridges. But this gave me an opportunity to see it and the entire thing, and it's just very, very friendly to cruisers. There's welcoming centers in these small towns. These bridge tenders are very friendly and inviting, and there's free dockage, free power, the majority of the whole state of New York, and free. They offer bicycles, and it's.
You were saying there's even these little towns you can tell are kind of struggling, but they're like offering free bicycles and all. They kind of know this is part of their tourist package to offer.
Yeah, for sure. And it was nice to have the wife on board for the Erie Canal.
How long did it take you to get from one end to the other? Did you start at one end and go all the way to the other, or kind of come in on it?
Yeah, I came and actually had to I took the mast down with the help of some friends before I left, so I had the mast resting, along the boat. I had some lumber rigged up, so it's the rig
like a cradle.
Yeah, and I had to motor down the Niagara River for a segment, which was a little disconcerting because that's if you're on a sailboat, you don't go on the Niagara River.
No.
And the current is just crazy, and so that was a little stressful, but not problematic, and yeah, I forgot what you asked me.
So how long did it take you to get through the Erie Canal?
I think we took about a week and a half. I was with my wife, so we meandered slowly and kind of did the tourist thing all the way.
Yeah.
Had some nice meals, and it was very, there's little rivers where you could you could cut up into Rochester, cut down into some Finger Lakes, cut up through Oswego, New York, up into Lake Ontario, and you could definitely spend a summer touring the canal without a doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I probably will not have enough time to see as much as I'd like to, because we talk, you're a northerner and I'm a northerner, and it's like you got this precious bit of time in the summer, and you want to cram as much as you can in, and it's hard to slow down sometimes. But okay, well, thank you for your time and telling us about it. I think there's some folks, there's people that watch my channel that dream about doing the Great Loop or some of it, and maybe this will help them, kind of follow some paths of research and get a little closer to do it themselves.